Hey YouTubers, 95 Speed GTA. Today we're going to do an oil change on one of my customers' car. We have Mr. Dalton's 2004 Chevy Impala tonight. So let's get down to the oil change. The factory recommends that you put 5W30 in this engine. Now this car has 140,000 miles in it and it's got a little bit of wear on the engine. So what I'm going to opt to do is I'm going to put 1030 in the car. We got the warm weather coming, and 1030 is a really good blend for an engine with higher miles. You can put the 5W30 in, that's fine, but for an engine with high miles, I'd rather opt to do the 5W30. Now, if anybody ever wonders what this means, it's really simple. Basically what that is it's a multi-viscosity oil. 5W20, 5W30. The W doesn't mean weight, and it's a big misconception. It actually means winner. Now, the beginning number, 5W, the lower the number, the less viscosity. The higher the number, the more viscosity. So a 5W30 means that when it's cold, it'll have a viscosity rating of 5, and when the oil is hot, it'll have a viscosity rating of 30. When the engine's hot, you want to better protect the parts in the engine, and when the car is cold, the pump needs to circulate it faster. So the lower the value, the faster it'll circulate, and that's pretty much it. Now what I like about these W bodies is their lift points. You could, let me show you. Here's a spot where you could jack up the car without any problems. And that is right there in the front. Right on the, some people call it a K-frame. GM, this is called an engine cradle. This is the strong part of the front of the car. So here's my jack. It's right in the middle. And as you can see, this is how you want to place it on the cradle. This is a strong cradle. You're not going to bend the radiator or anything like that. You can lift it up on here. This is a lift point. So once we get the jack right up there on that, and the back wheels are secured, we're going to lift it up. Okay, so now we got the vehicle lifted up. You don't want to go too high with lifting the vehicle, because it's not necessary, and you just really need to go as high as you need to get your body underneath the car so you can do the oil change. Now, some of you out there may be feeling a little discouraged right now because, one, maybe they don't feel comfortable lifting the car from that jacking point. You don't necessarily have to use this jacking point. This is just a jacking point that I've been using for a long time on these particular cars, the W body cars. You cannot do this on every car, because some people they jack it up on the radiator core. Some people they jack it up on the radiator core support, and it just you'll wind up replacing the radiator on the car. At any rate, we're not finished here. Since we jacked it up, we got to put jack stands underneath there for safety, and I'm going to show you where to do that next. And if you still don't feel comfortable doing this, I'll show you one more option. So here we are underneath the car. Here's a couple of places that you can put your jack stands. You can put your jack stands right on this flat surface, right on this, see what I mean? You can put it right on this flat surface. There's one on each side, which basically you're putting the jack stands up on the cradle. Another place you can put your jack stands is right under here. Right below the driver's door. On each side. You see these right here? Okay, you see this right here? That's your frame rail. This is where you're going to want to put your jack stand. Not here, because this is the floor pan, and you'll have a big dent in your carpet if you put it right here. But you'll see an actual, you'll see an actual frame rail right here, and this is where you want to put your jack stands. Also, if you ever want to lift the car from not that location, but if you want to start lifting it from side to side and put jack stands on the sides right here, you could also jack it up on this frame rail. And the frame rail runs from here all the way back and right to the front and ends right about here. This is your jacking points. That's where you want to jack the vehicle up, because that's the strongest point right here. On this particular car, you don't want to do it. Try to give you guys a good angle. You don't want to do it here. You don't want to do it here because this is all plastic. But as you can see right here, let me get the camera. But as you can see right here, there's a cutout, and what this is called right here is a pinch weld. Now, in the trunk of your car, there's a factory jack that comes with the vehicle, and you could jack the vehicle up right here by these pinch welds. This is another strong point, but if you have a jack like mine, you don't want to jack it up right here, because it can almost guarantee you if you don't do it carefully, you're going to ruin it right here. So just remember, the best jacking point for this particular vehicle and any unibody car without a frame are these jacking points that I showed you. So another method to getting your vehicle off the ground to change your oil would be these. These are called rhino ramps. These rhino ramps, basically, you lay them down in front of the car, you drive the car up, change your oil, back the car up, and you're done. It takes the danger away from jacking the car up and being underneath the car with a jack, or even with jack stands, and just makes the job go by a lot smoother and simpler. One, you don't have to find jacking points if you're not really that experienced with changing oil on cars, and you don't have to just worry about using a jack that might fail prematurely, because remember, that's a hydraulic system. Sometimes hydraulic systems fail. That's why it's always good that when you jack a car up, you only use it for getting the car off the ground, and then you use your jack stands right after. So I make videos for the do-it-yourselfer, and well, as a do-it-yourselfer, you can get these ramps at AutoZone, you can get them at O'Reilly Auto Parts, you can get them at Advanced Auto Parts. I bought these for AutoZone. I bought these from AutoZone. The price of these were about 40 bucks, and they're pretty cool. As you can see, that's how they set up. You set them up straight onto the wheels on each side, and you just drive the vehicle up. Now, the really good thing about these, and the only reason why I bought these, is because they're low profile. Right here, on the top peak, these things only go from the ground up to maybe about 7 inches, which really isn't too bad. But there are some pros and cons to this. The pros to it are what I mentioned about safety and just being able to drive your car up, change your oil, and be done. But now the cons of this is these are very different from the old school steel ramps. These particular ones only raise the vehicle so much, and I've noticed underneath the car that when I'm under there, sometimes it's very, very tight fitting, getting under there to change the oil. So certain vehicles, this may be a real pain in the ass to do, but I bought these specifically for certain vehicles that I service, because as you can see, there's actually clearance between the actual ramp and the front bumper. The next thing I'm about to show you really had no clearance and always hit the bumper of my customer's car. That's kind of why I stopped using them. So in the market, you have these, which are called rhino ramps. So setting up these ramps is pretty straightforward. All you do is you line them up with the tires. Make sure they're lined up and your wheels straight. And when you get in the car, just keep the wheels straight and you go up. And you'll feel this when you hit it. It'll stop you, but make sure you go slow. Here we go. Alright, now that we got the vehicle up, there's one more thing I want to mention to you guys. You can either slide underneath the car, or you can get one of these. These are called creepers. They got wheels on them, little storage compartments right here, and they slide right underneath the car. If you're not sure what the drain plug is, take your whole socket set with you. Another thing that's really cool that I want to show you guys is this. This is an extending ratchet. I bought this from Craftsman. From Sears. It's not a Craftsman, but it is a Craftsman. It's like Craftsman's like subdivision. It's called like Evolve, and it's really good. This is like the only ratchet I use out of like the 6 other ones I have. Don't forget your flashlight. Your filter wrench. Now this is really a truly universal type. There are some cars that don't even have an oil filter that you can grab onto, and they're inside the engine. That's a whole different process. But as far as this is concerned, it's pretty universal. You can go from large to small, and I really like using this, and it makes the job go by a lot faster. Okay, so here's our oil filter. In case you guys are wondering, for the 04 Impala 3.8 liter and Purolator, it is a L10111 filter. There's a lot of different types you can buy, but this is the one I use. Okay, we got some dampness under here. It is raining outside, so I'm gonna dry that off. I'm gonna leave it until it's dry out. I'm gonna take a look at it again. I think we might have a leaking oil pan gasket. So since we're underneath the Impala, here is the drain plug. It's a 15mm. Sizes may be different. It really just depends on what's in there. And we're going to turn it, it's not reverse thread, so we're going to turn it counterclockwise. Alright, so we got the oil draining out. This is going to take a little bit. So while we're waiting for the oil to completely drain out, make sure that when you're backing out that there's enough room in the, make sure the container is placed in such a way so that when this starts getting lower and lower, the stream pushes back. And I've seen sometimes a lot of people do oil changes and they didn't leave enough room, they didn't back up the pan enough, and it leaked all over the driveway. So while we're waiting for that to leak out, we're going to go up on top and we're going to finish our service out. Alright, so now that we're up on top, we're going to check the rest of the fluids. Start off with the washer fluid, which is pretty much empty. We're going to go into the radiator, check that out. And the fluid level in the radiator looks perfect. Well, the overflow, that is. That's what we want to check. Then we can't really check the transmission fluid until the car's running. So we're going to move on to the brake fluid. The brake fluid looks fine. It just looks a little dirty. I want to suggest a flush and fill of that eventually. And transmission fluids, we could check the fluid condition, but you can't really get an accurate level without the engine running. So looking at it right here, fluid's a little dirty. You could use a change. It's not burnt. It just smells like Dextron.
Alright, so no fluids other than the washer fluid need to be topped off. We're going to take a look at the air filter. I'm going to pull this guy back, which may put up a little bit of a fight, which it is. And then you're going to get yourself a flathead screwdriver or one of these. These are a hose pick tool. You want to very carefully go behind it and just pull forward. You grab your silicone spray. And just a few dabs, that's all you need. You don't want to saturate it, because your mass airflow sensor is right there. Just a couple of dabs. Flathead screwdriver, work it in a little bit, and there you go. Came right out. Lift that up. Remember, all these have to go back down in their slot. Okay. Inspect the throttle body, which you really can't do too well because it's got the these honeycomb things inside here. I'm going to pull the air filter out. Oh, look at that. See what I'm saying? This air filter is dirty and it needs to be replaced. So since it's late tonight, I'm going to write on the bill that it's suggested that we do this. And you can bring it back, you know? Yeah. You don't want that coming out of your air filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it a couple times and get all the loose stuff out of it. I'll place it back in. Make sure I got all the debris out of there. And I'm going to write it on the bill that it's suggested, and I'm going to contact the customer tomorrow and just make sure that that's something that he wants done. You know, when a customer says, I don't care, just do it, do not take it in that context. Always get their permission before you do anything. Just to ensure that that doesn't happen again. Spray just a little bit with the silicone spray. Take a dab off of that. Go around it. Same goes from here. Just a little bit, you don't need a lot. And then you just place it back on. Okay, so the oil should be done draining. We're going to get underneath there and we're going to change the filter. We're going to put the plug back on, put oil in it, put a sticker on the windshield, finish billing the customer out, or print the receipt, put the receipt on the dashboard, and deliver the car back home. Alright guys, important, once you get the drain plug back on, you want to wipe everything around the surrounding area, because you see that drop right there? That drop will stay there until it gets in the customer's driveway, and then it'll let loose. And you don't want to have that. That's not only very unprofessional, but then you have a spot in the customer's driveway that you gotta go clean now. Clean this up. This rag is pretty much garbage after we're done with this. I want to dry this up because I want to see if the it looks like the oil pan gasket's leaking. So once you're done with your oil change, this is what it should look like underneath. This should be tight. Always inspect the oil. Always inspect the crush ring. Make sure that it's not damaged beyond its usefulness. And this is what you want to do. You know, you treat the customer's car like it was your own car. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to the oil filter, fill it with oil, and that's it. And keep spinning it. I loosened it with the oil filter wrench. That wasn't loose like this. If it was, this motor would have been toast a long time ago. It's really not in a bad spot either. It's just, I mean, come on, how many turns? Get that out of the way.
Let the oil drain out. But actually, before we put the new filter on, we want to clean this whole location. Everything. Alright, so once you put the oil filter on, this is what it should look like. No greasy handprints, nothing. This is the way you want it. And you also want to clean down here like I did. Just make sure there's no drippage, no nothing. So pretty much that's it. Now what we're going to do is remove the light. We're going to put oil in it, start it up, and like I said, put a sticker on it and get it home. So what you want to do is make sure you don't get grease or anything all over the customer's car, even though this Impala is a shit mess. And make sure everything is all nice. Right where it's supposed to be. Everything's good. Once over is given. So here's the sticker that came out. 143, 345. That's what the sticker looks like. Peel it like this. And it's got the lightly sticky background. Put it up in the windshield. Thanks for watching, guys.